Hey, you guys, if you can hear me, can you just let me know in the chat? Because I have something to tell you. I don't even know if anybody's here anymore. This might have been the biggest, silliest thing that I have done. Let me take a look. Oh, it says there's people here. I don't know. I don't know. Somebody say something. All right, I'm going to turn my phone way down. I'm going to pull it up on YouTube because that's what I'm going to do. All right. Okay, you're here. All right. So, hey, everybody. Thank you for being here. So, I'm going to tell you something. Miss Amy, Miss Sushi Banana Hammock, I have been doing a live stream since 12:10. I've been talking for 38 minutes. I never hit the go live button. I've been sharing my screen. I'm like, who went to Chick-fil-A? Why won't anybody interact with me? Oh my gosh, okay. I guess you guys are like super tired, so I'm gonna let you go. And I'm sitting here like having like a major panic attack because none of my equipment will work. And I'm in my husband's office. I think I had my MacBook in the proper like sleeve or whatever when I was traveling the other day, but it was hot and it was in the back of my SUV and I only drive murdered out cars. So of course, they probably get hotter than hell in there. And I think like something like that happened. So my laptop isn't, so I'm in my husband's office and everything he has is like external, which, that sounded dirty. He has all these like work computers and laptops hooked up with like docking stations and stuff, and then this one personal monitor, and it doesn't have like a microphone. So I'm holding like a 1980s like microphone. There's no camera. It's like you guys, I've been talking to myself for 34 minutes. Oh my god. Oh my god. And here I am. I'm like, they don't like what I'm showing. I'm not doing a good job. And then I looked up and it said go live, and I was like, well, son of a, you know what? Like, I never pressed the go live button. I just really can't believe this. So anyway, I'm gonna. Oh, it's just one of those days. I think maybe the God is telling me we should like really oh my gosh. Okay, here we go. It sounds like Trisha's Aphrodite story. It does. Oh my God, it does. It's so crazy. Yep. See, Trisha, you're not the only one. You're really not. So one of the things I wanted to talk about, yes, 34 minutes. 34 minutes. I'm sitting here. I'm literally sharing my screen, showing you stuff. And I'm like, what does everybody think about that? Nothing. And I'm just like, okay. And this is how I saw the the go live button. So I finally say, you know what, guys? None of my equipment's working. Like, I'm holding this like weird 1980s microphone that's like the size of a pencil, and it's late, and I should have just done this on another day, and I'm going to leave it up here because I don't like to dirty delete, but this is really embarrassing, and blah, 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 and I'm going on, and then I look up because I went to go hit the end broadcast button, and it said go live, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm such a dummy. I can't believe it. Oh no, your chat keeps freezing. Ah, that's right, Ping. We only promised, See, I'm even reading the wrong comments. I'm just way frazzled now. That'll do something to you. Like, you sit here and you have your own little show for 34 minutes or whatever. And yeah, 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 I know. No fans. I was like, nobody cares. They're all like laughing and pointing at me. Oh, Lillian, you're so sweet. You're so sweet. She says, don't worry about it. Things happen. Yeah, but seriously, like, I was feeling bad that I went on 15 minutes later than I told myself that I would, and now, yeah, whatever. So anyway, okay, so now I really am going to share my screen because I want to ask you guys something. Let's see, and we're going to go here. I'm just going to use my Twitter page. So I try to be active on Twitter. I'm getting a lot better at it. I feel like it's the fastest place to communicate information. So definitely, like, if you use Twitter, it's at crimesushi.com. I also have a Facebook page, True Crime Sushi. Ultimately, I'll get my website going. I just had to decide when I was going to be able to do this and do it consistently. In order for, everything to kind of come together. And I've had some, like everybody does, some work life balance type of situations. So one of the things I wanted to ask you, because I hadn't heard this. So this is, let's see, this article came out. Of course, there's no date on it. No, it was published. It says published 3 hours ago. Was it published 3 hours ago? What time was it? 9:49? I don't know, maybe. Okay, so there is a second person that has come forward saying that she gave Brian Laundrie a ride. Brian Laundrie manhunt. Woman in Wyoming says she's picked him up hitchhiking. Or she picked him up hitchhiking. Norma Jean Jalovic told Fox News on Friday that she also gave Laundrie a ride on August 29th. So this is an older article. Did you guys know there was a second person? You guys hate Twitter. I used to hate Twitter too. Honest to God, I really did. But now I really do like it. So let's see. Let me go back to this. So anyway, the first woman was Miranda Baker, and she's the one that posted the TikTok on September 17th that she and her boyfriend had picked up Brian around 5:30 after spotting him hitchhiking on the side of the road, and she, passed that on to authorities. Now this woman's a little, her story's a little interesting. Her name is Norma Jean, don't know how to say her last name, Jalovec, Jalovec, a seasonal Wyoming resident from Florida, which is odd. Again, finally my Florida people, except for Brian, who's technically from New York, I will point out, but really none of us here in Florida were born here. It's very rare. But there's some Florida people doing some right things, I guess, these days. So Norma Jean Jalovic, a seasonal Wyoming resident from Florida, told Fox News Digital that after seeing Baker's TikTok video, she realized she had also picked up Laundrie on August 29th. Excuse me one second. And dropped him off around 6:30 or 6:40 at the Spread Creek dispersed camping area where Petito's remains were discovered weeks later. The reason that she was around that day is because she had decided to go to a Catholic church called Chapel of the Sacred Heart, which apparently is in Grand Teton National Park, or near there. And she wanted to go to a 5 p.m. service. So, she's done and she's coming back from church, and she sees Brian walking backwards, down the road with his thumb out. and she picks him up. It's about 6:15, 6:20, and she says it's just past the dam near Pacific Creek Landing. So he gets in the passenger seat of her 4Runner and asks if she's going to Jackson. And she tells him no, because she lives in the opposite direction. So he asks her if she would drop him off at the Spread Creek dispersed camping area. And, she said yes. And so that was about a 20-minute drive. So there's some funny details in this story. She had she had a Bible on her dashboard, and she took a really hard right turn, and of course it slid down the dashboard and fell into Brian's lap. And the way she describes it, she says he picked it up quickly and put it back on the dashboard. So he's probably lucky he didn't burn his own hands. He was pretty normal in the car. They just had small talk, and he told her that he liked to spend time hiking near Snake River, that he had a fiance, and he told her that, over the past a couple days, he'd seen elk and moose, but no bison. And when she, and he asked her if she needed gas money for, taking him there, and she said no. So all of that was normal. Now, what's not normal is that as they approached the gate to the remote camping area, there's like a single dirt road that goes in for miles to like all different kinds of camping sites. And she says there was still some daylight. It was like 6:30 Mountain Time. There's still some daylight, and she said he was going to get out and walk, and she was like, "Oh, I can drive you there." She was worried that like she didn't know how far it was in, and she said he like literally tried to jump out of the moving car. So, I mean, what's with Brian bailing out of cars? As she said, she said she just didn't really even know why there are two paths across. She said, "I can't explain why I was there," Jalafik said, of her decision to go to the church in Grand Teton that day and pick up a hitchhiker. "It was something I don't typically do. I don't pick up hitchhikers in Florida. I've gotten so much shit from my family and friends for picking up a hitchhiker." Jalafik said she joked with Laundrie about wanting to impress his fiance by hiking into the campground rather than hitching a ride, but he only responded by insisting that he be let out of the vehicle. So the closer they got to that campsite that Friday, August 29th, the more nervous and kind of squirrely he became. So I just thought that was interesting. I don't know if you guys had seen that before or not. Okay, so this is interesting. Brian, or I think you're asking, did he not want to go to Jackson because of the restaurant incident? I mean, you tell me. I think that he was starting to realize that he had been exposed to a lot of people by making a scene in that restaurant. And he might have been scared to go back there, because had he gone back there with the van or without the van or without Gabby, like maybe that would stir some thoughts, because it was enough where a lot of people remember that incident. So the other thing to note here is that this Norma Jean person, the second person, let's see, the gal from TikTok picked him up around 5:30, and then Norma Jean picks him up between like 6 and 6:30, just 6 and 6:15. So there's no official statement from authorities in this Fox News article, but there is, she does say that Norma Jean says that the authorities say everything that she has in times corroborate with their existing timeline. So, yeah. So Ping says, I think the timeline around the body cam to how he got to the van is most interesting part of this timeline. Yeah. It's this whole case is so crazy, and it's just moved so swiftly. For the time we heard about it, so we hear about this boy that comes home, this young man that comes home with a van, who had been on a camping trip with her, and he returned without her, and then she's reporting missing on September 11th. Finally, apparently there was some sort of altercation on September 10th. I think Gabby's dad had enough. Gabby's dad lives in Florida too. Gabby's dad had enough of this. Brian not returning their calls and Brian's parents not returning their calls. And I think we always have to keep in mind that Gabby lived with them. Gabby lived with Brian and his parents for a year. And I don't know necessarily if she worked for them too, but they own they sell and maintenance juicing equipment. And we hear Gabby say that, she was a nutritionist. She had just left her job at a juice bar. So there was some, I think they were like living, loving, and working together. This was a pretty tight relationship there. So by September 10th, with Gabby's mom, who is Nicole Schmidt, she keeps trying to call and talk. Nobody, Gabby's off the grid. She's not responding. The last couple of text messages make no sense. Everybody's suspicious. Dad, who is, Mr. Petito, Joe Petito, lives in Florida. So he's had enough. So he goes over to the house, and there is something that happened that night. I think there was an altercation. I know the police came out. I don't think Joe was arrested. I think that's when the police started getting attention, becoming aware of this situation, because originally all this was kind of going on in New York, where Nicole Schmidt, Gabby's mom, was. So then the next day is when Gabby is officially reported missing. And for those of us that follow, true crime all the time, to have Gabby found so quickly is good. I'm not saying it's good that she's dead, but some people never find her, wait years and go through hell. She's found rather quickly. The autopsy is done very quickly. We hear the manner of death. Oh, here's something. So I don't know if you guys know this. About 40 minutes ago, when I was talking to nobody, and I was asking you guys to answer my questions, like, help me, I don't know. So I posed this question to you. I'm not going to look it up now. I want to know what you guys think, because I can't remember. I'm just going to be honest. So is it the cause of death that that they released, or was it the manner of death? Because they're two separate things, right? Because we know, I believe it's the cause of death is homicide. Tell me if I'm saying this right. The cause of death is homicide, and the manner of death we don't know. You guys are saying manner. The manner of death is homicide. Okay, wait. Okay, so yeah, see, we're all confused. Look. Cause of death is homicide. Berserker Loki says manner of death. Mary Deathy Deal says, no, it's the man. Oh. All right, we might have to Google this. And then Jetty Betty says cause of death. Okay, can I just tell you, I've never looking at a screen this big when I'm like, just talking and not having to like push buttons. And your dog is so cute. Jetty Penny. I love that dog. Okay, let's see what this says. I'm going to try to say your name, Tolly. I hope if I'm mispronouncing it, butchering it, put it phonetically in there and tell me, to say it right the next time. All right. Duty Ron had experts on who said it was really unusual to release manner of death without saying cause of death. They think they know cause of death, but aren't saying. Okay, that makes sense. So I can't even remember if I was right or not, but it doesn't matter because I don't need to be right. I just want to be correct, future forward. So let me say it again. So the manner of death is homicide, and we don't know the cause of death. Okay. All right, good. Okay, this is important too. Amber said, I was about to say Amber's putting it on the screen, that there are, oh wait, I put the wrong comment up. It was Lisa Irwin, I'm sorry. Okay, manner is homicide, suicide, accident, natural, undetermined, and causes like drowned, shot, etc. That's a really good way to explain it. Okay, so to someone like me that can't hit go live on her thing and talks to nobody, story of my life. What was I gonna share with you? So I did look up this. All right, I can't put this on the screen, so I am going to tell you this is specific to Wyoming, which is where Gabby was found, right? Okay. All right. So I think we're all good here. We're all going to agree the manner of death. All right. Hi, Hazelnut. I like that name. So, yeah, and they need to determine, Judy Eisler here, it says, also they need to determine if it was a brain injury or suffocation or whatever. That's true. Okay. So I went and did a little digging. I did read Wyoming law, and then in order to help me understand it better, I made a few phone calls and I got referred to a few articles. So everything I'm saying here is specific to Wyoming, which is where Gabby was found. So, first of all, types of homicide. And it says, homicide doesn't only refer to the crime of murder. There are many types and degrees of homicide, including manslaughter. Manslaughter in Wyoming is essentially the unlawful killing of another without malice that either occurs in the heat of passion or due to reckless behavior. Manslaughter is not premeditated, meaning the individual did not plan out the killing before the moment it occurred. However, the killing has to be unlawful, not out of self-defense. And in Wyoming, manslaughter is a felony offense, and a conviction carries a penalty of up to 20 years in prison. So, manslaughter is a part of homicide. It could be a crime of passion. It's not premeditated. They did not plan out the killing before the moment it occurred. And it can't be a killing in self-defense. So I think this may be one of the, when we get down to the nitty-gritty, when they arrest Brian, should they arrest Brian for Gabby, this is what a defense lawyer will try to say happened as manslaughter. It was something passionate, not premeditated. They got in a fight. He pushed her too hard. He didn't mean to do it. He didn't do it out of self-defense. Manslaughter. That's Wyoming's definition. But I mean, what's scary is that it carries a penalty of up to 20 years. Up to 20 years. It just doesn't sound like a whole lot. So the definition of first-degree murder is premeditated and done with malice or in conjunction with another felony offense, such as SA, robbery, kidnapping of a child. This is the most serious charge of homicide one can face. In Wyoming, the penalty for first-degree murder is death or life imprisonment. As with any charge of homicide, if you are charged with first-degree murder, it is imperative that you contact the defense attorney, blah, blah, blah. I think we all know we would do that. By the way, I looked it up yesterday. I believe the last time that Wyoming used the death penalty was in 1994, and that was death by lethal injection. Okay. Lisha Gallegos. All right, I'll look real quick right now. Okay, so what Lisha had sent me is that some people, they're taking still frames of Gabby and Brian's van, like from the Bethune's videos, and showing that it looks like Gabby's flip-flops and some other things that are on the ground. There's some books, and now people are saying that maybe they see a gun on the ground there. There is instances where they slow down that video where they're coming around the corner, and it looks like somebody is in the van and closing it from the inside. And there is a theory that when the Bethunes drove by, that perhaps Brian had just done something to Gabby or was trying to cover something up, and he went to go hide in the van. He didn't want to talk to anybody. So, I just looked up for a second and saw what you were, what some of you were saying. You're saying because this is a federal case, I wonder if it's different. I don't know. I mean, I'm not real sure about that. I'm gonna have to look that up because I can't. I mean, I have an answer in my head, but I'm not an attorney, so I'd have to get you the proper answer for that. So let's see. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to ask you guys about tonight too was I mentioned this on Web Sleuths with Trisha Griffith, who is being so sweet to be my moderator in here tonight. But I just know that, and I so appreciate it because she just got done with her show and she's just way too good to me. And Trisha, I'll never be able to thank you for being such a good friend to me. Let's just have a moment here. Seriously. So thank you. I won't keep you guys on all night or anything, and to Ping too, Ping the router, Ping, teases me and calls me sushi, banana, whatever, and all that stuff. But he's been a good friend to me too, and as have all of you. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. That means the world to me. So we'll end that Hallmark moment. But I did say this on Web Sleuths Live with Trisha Griffith earlier tonight. I heard on one of the news stations tonight that they were saying in Florida, and somebody sent me a link to this. It was Tambra. So thank you, Tambra. That in Florida, parents can't be held responsible for their children's crimes after the fact. And they weren't really using that in a good context, but of course to me, I my ears perked up because I was like, that doesn't make sense. So if I understood what they were saying was that if Brian is charged with Gabby's homicide, that his parents can't be charged for like aiding and abetting because he wasn't charged before that. Does that make sense? But I kind of have some questions about that because one, I think about Aiden Fucci and him being at the police station and not under arrest, and his mom washing clothes in the house, trying to get rid of blood on pants and looking around, trying to make sure there wasn't, she was trying to protect her son. I don't say I agree with it. I try to tell myself that, like, I would hold my child's hand and say, they're going to face the music, but, we never know what we're going to do until we're walking in those shoes. So I can't even tell you that. So, that was kind of my first reaction. Now I'm confused because one, it's federal, and two, it's out of Wyoming. I mean, Northport are in charge in Florida, or no, the FBI is in charge now. See, sometimes I talk this stuff out in my head, so it gets confusing, and then I confuse myself, and I go and I sit under a desk and just crave I don't know, a popsicle or something. I don't know. Like, my dog has anxiety. He likes to lick stuff, so I don't know. Maybe maybe I need to, get a lollipop or something. I don't know. Anyway, let's calm my nerves here for a second. Um, I have a really hard time believing that his parents didn't know anything from September 1st to September 11th. And the reason why is because they immediately produced an attorney. And I don't think you immediately produce an attorney, and not in something like this. Not in something like this. They obviously, when he invoked his Fifth Amendment right, he they didn't swoop in and take him down to the station anyway. So even if he had talked to them, they wouldn't really have had any. Um, oh no, is there something going on that I don't know about? I've attracted the weirdo accounts. Okay, I don't know. We'll just move on. Anyway, oh, Julie Holden, this is good. They have to have given him money, gotten him a burner phone, hard to prove they destroyed evidence, though I 100% think they did. Well, Brian's in the driveway, cleaning the van, messing around in the van. Now we find out from the neighbors that they took a camping trip in one of those pop-up campers that the pickup truck would have towed. It's it's not a individually motorized car. And they even say it was a little weird that mom and dad went on a trip in a camper van like that with their adult son, really tight quarters. I would like to know if Brian was ever seen by the neighbors after that, to be honest. I mean, did they drop him off somewhere? Because if that's the case, then they're lying about everything. They're lying about the nature preserve. They're lying about the Mustang. I want to know, is there anybody comfortable coming up here for a few minutes and telling me what you think the timeline is? Because I keep trying to figure it out myself, and I've seen a bunch of them on Twitter and other places, and they make sense, but then people throw in their theories, and there's a lot of this flying back and forth business. And I mean, that happened before, but some people have this theory that Brian left Wyoming after. They're saying Brian killed Gabby, and he left Wyoming, and he drove the van to Georgia, and then he took a flight back up to Wyoming so people could see him, and then took a flight back to, I'm not buying any of this, because there's airplane manifests, and the FBI know when you've been on a plane. Jenny Penny will. Okay. Hold on one second. I'll put a link up. Give me a second here. Oops. Give me one second here. Yeah, Lily and Gail, I don't believe that either. And it's so funny. I love that I know your voice now, because Lillian, I'm talking to you, because when I read your comments, I read them in your voice, and a lot of Chris's family are from the same area you are, and I love your accent. I just love it. Okay, so I posted the link in chat, I think. Yeah, I did. So Anybody that wants to come on, click on it. Let's talk about it. I wish I had some coffee, but I don't. Let's see. Tamara S said some neighbors said that they had seen him after September 1st. Yeah, because they said that he was cleaning the van. Okay, so listen, I am going to, let's see, I'm going to take Lillian first. And I've never done this before on my own, so hold on. Hey, Lillian.
Hey, Amy, how you feeling?
I'm getting better. I really am. I'm having like really full days. I mean, I still get run down sometimes, but yeah, life is good.
Well, listen, I'm going to play a mother role. I don't have children, but take care of yourself. You had pneumonia, right?
I had walking pneumonia. Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's not good. But
Yes.
listen, I hope you feel better. But
Thank you.
Amy, oh, and you're welcome, hon. First of all, I don't know about the timeline as much as I think that when they left that restaurant and those people, Red, White, and I forget the last name.
Red, White, and Bethune.
Red, White, Bethune, you got it. When they saw that van and where it was parked, because they said about 200 to 300 yards away was where her body was found. I think after that fight, he just became, to me, my opinion, he became enraged. And
Yes.
I really believe that this guy somehow with some of his readings writings that he would post and stuff was a little dark, in my opinion. Just my opinion. And I just feel so bad for her family. And but I'll tell you what, Amy, I think it was after that when they were parked off of that side there where they got the picture, and I just think it happened there, and he maybe either took her out there and killed her out there. I don't know how he did it, but you know what they were saying? They were saying homicide is not murder. I'm all confused.
No. Yeah, you must have been listening to the same. I'm not going to say the call letters, but you must have been listening to the same one as me, because I sat up in my chair and Trisha and I had a long discussion. There are, I guess, where it comes in is there under homicide, you have manslaughter, which isn't considered murder.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about it is the definition of a homicide is one human intentionally killing another human being.
Right.
So
Right.
maybe what that gentleman was saying on the live report would have been more acceptable of an answer had he elaborated on it, but he just said homicide isn't murder and it was an absolute, and he moved on. He didn't explain why he said it, because it took me a while, and then I had to say, well, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because he's the reporter and the expert and I'm not. But
right, me too.
But it's the classification. So yeah, homicide. So people now in chat are saying, this and that or whatever. But yeah, homicide can be murder. But the definition of homicide is that in general is one person intentionally killing another person.
Right.
And then specifically in Wyoming, manslaughter is a crime of passion that hasn't been premeditated before the moment. Then you have murder, which is like you planned and plotted. I don't know how you feel, but I personally feel like if this happened, I don't think Brian's a good person at all. I think he's a waste of skin. But
no, I don't.
I think
I don't.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Okay. They were also saying that they probably they spoke with a woman that had like 20 some, almost 30 years, and still does some work with autopsies and things. And they were saying that they probably know the cause of death, but they're not coming out with it yet.
They're not releasing it.
No, because they do send whatever to that'll take like maybe 2 or 3 weeks, but they said for them to come out and give their condolences to the family and all, they probably know everything.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and Sunday, they, according to the reports, I'm only telling you what I read. Sunday, she's having services in New York.
Okay.
So
I was wondering about that when I was driving in my car today.
yeah,
I'll tell you, Lillian, if it's okay with you, I'm going to go ahead. I have 3 people in the waiting room. I'm going to add
Yep.
everybody in. We
Yep,
can
go
all talk
ahead.
to each other.
Not
And
a problem.
if you guys will just do me a favor, and if somebody's talking for like a long time, if you'll just like mute yourself. So,
Okay.
but other than that, I'm going to go ahead and add Jay in here.
Hi.
Hi. Hello.
How are you, Amy?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. This whole case is boggling my mind. There's just so much to deal with, and I agree 100% with what Lillian said. And I was watching you on, what it was, Web Slews with Trish, and I agree with what all that was being said there. It's just very, all the twists and turns. It's just crazy. It reminds me a lot of the Robert Fisher case, with how the media and with how law enforcement is treating it with the media, and how they're not calling him a suspect right off the bat, but they're getting warrants. It's very much like the Robert Fisher case.
That's interesting. Yeah, because they went from person of interest, and then, well, he's not missing, but we're worried, and that's why we're looking for him. We all know you don't do a manhunt unless his mom told them that, he was going to kill himself, or, something like that. And then today it's like federal arrest warrant comes down.
Yeah.
Hang on tight 1 second, Jay. I'm going to add Jenny, Penny, and Lisha in here, and we're just all going to hang out together.
Okay.
It'll be a party.
Right?
Here we go. Oh my gosh, I feel like the Brady Bunch right now.
Hi guys.
I love it. Okay, so Jenny, you said you would come in and share what you think the timeline is, and I am really interested to hear what you have to say.
Where do you want to start it from?
Let's start it from after the DV and Moab. So
they go to Salt Lake City. I'm really unclear as to what date they went to Salt Lake City. I've been trying to figure that out for a while. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But definitely 17th through 23rd, he's in Florida, right? There's documentation of that.
Right.
And she's at the Fairfield Inn in Salt Lake City. On those from the 17th to 23rd, she gets a pizza ordered over Uber Eats from her dad, and I want to say that was on the 22nd.
Yes.
So that happened. He comes back the 23rd, and this Fairfield Inn, I think I read it's by the airport. So I don't know if she had the van at. I kind of wonder if he didn't take that van to the airport, because she would have been able to drive that van to get something to eat, even if there were power outages or, smoke or whatever. So I'm thinking, and she didn't like to drive by herself, So my thought is that he took the van to the airport and parked it there, came back the 23rd. They're seen leaving the Fairfield Inn in Salt Lake City on the 24th. Then the next photo is the 25th in Ogden, Utah. Out the Monarch photograph.
Yes, the mural. Mm-hmm.
Right. And then they are, what happens after that? Let's see. I made so many notes. It's crazy. But Gabby's mom, Nicole, she's like getting text messages on the 25th from her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe she got a FaceTime on the 25th.
Yes.
And her mom's like you know, her mom, I remember her mom saying that she was excited and they were headed to Yellowstone, correct?
Yes.
So around
And she wouldn't have much cell service or like, you
Right.
know.
Yeah, so I think so. Apparently, that communication kind of stopped around that time period, is my understanding. She received about 2 text messages from Gabby's phone after the 25th, is my understanding.
Okay.
So then they are seen from the 27th to the 30th at the Spread Creek dispersed camping area. Right. So there is a TikTok that happens. I don't know if you've seen it. It's this woman. She's talking about watching Brian park the van.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it either.
It's really interesting. It's a 3-part one. I think I followed the lady. So if you want to give me a second, I can find it on my phone and tell you what it is. I don't know if you want to share it, but
while you're doing that, I'll add to the conversation about this pinned YouTube comment from Teresa. I just found it interesting that she said on the body camera that she didn't drive the van, but if I recall correctly, the van, I believe he said the dad said, what was Gabby's dad said on the Dr. Phil interview that the car was in her name, Gabby's name,
yes.
van.
It
So
was.
that was very interesting. I don't know what happened with that. Why Gabby doesn't drive the van? If it, there was like, a reasoning behind that, whether she doesn't drive or just there was a preference. I'm not sure.
My understanding is that she drives, but the van is, big, and it was just intimidating for her to drive. And so I'll tell you this: my husband drives like a pickup truck.
Right.
I've never driven his truck ever, except in the neighborhood. He made me try it once, and I was like, "No, I can't do this," because I drive. I used to drive like littler cars, so I can relate to that. Like if we were ever out together and I had to drive that thing, I'd be a nervous wreck. They'd pull me over because they would think I was having a medical emergency. So, hang on, Jay, because I'm going to go ahead and add this person to the stream. So I don't want to make people sit in the back room forever. So Outlaw Trucker, welcome.
Can I say one thing about the driving of the van thing?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So this is what I was thinking about her not driving the van. I really think that this whole van life, van trip, all of that stuff was totally Gabby's dream, not so much Brian's dream. And I could see her buying the van, and probably getting some help from her parents or whatever, but Brian not kind of taking control over that with remodeling the van. In fact, I remember reading something that she was going to do it in a small vehicle, like a car or something. And then Brian made a comment that if you're going to do it in a van.
Well, they had gone out. They had done this once before, and they did it in a Nissan Sentra.
Right.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
I think that was her dream, but I also know this. I think I've said this before. I had one of those Transit Connects, and the one that is like theirs, it has a really big blind spot because there's no windows in the back.
Right.
There are windows in the backpack, but it looks like they've got the backpack covered, like making a bed,
Right.
So that storage underneath. And I bet you Brian didn't make her feel very confident about driving the van. You know what I mean?
I don't think Brian made her feel very confident about anything in her life.
I agree.
Exactly.
No, I agree with you.
Going back to your what was it? Nissan. What was it? Say that
Nissan
again.
Sentra.
That
is true.
Was that with the Dr. Phil interview? He said the dad said that he did that she did that with another significant other, if I recall correctly, another cross country trip. So that's why he didn't think it was out of the blue for her, and he wasn't concerned with it. I wonder if that was the vehicle.
Can I fill in on this a little bit?
Certainly.
All right, I am a 31-year truck driver, and I did train a lot of drivers too in the background. I will fill in because when I did looked over the police stop on the video cam, how her body language was that, Amy, you are correct when you said that you wasn't feeling comfortable about driving the bigger truck.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what she was demonstrating is that she was not comfortable in a lot of areas except for like around New York or Florida. She was trying to get out there to expand, to see how the traffic flows, to try to get over her fear. And yet it may take another year or so before she gets over that fear to drive that van. She doesn't have enough confidence within herself to actually get behind that wheel.
Right.
So, and that's the reason why she was always having somebody else drive her, so she can get used to the traffic and how the stuff works out there. And she
Sure.
right now was nervous and petrified. Not only that, she was also nervous and petrified that between Utah all the way up to Wyoming, that he was going to dump her off on the side of the road. And she was showing them warnings.
Yes.
Because he is a controlling
Yes.
manipulator, that she was afraid of being dropped off out alone when she don't have no friends up there. So that right there will put a body in like a 4x4 box real tight, and she doesn't have no room to get out to explore to find help.
Yeah, that's true. She did have a huge. I think he held abandonment over her head a lot.
Hey,
Yes.
Amy,
Well, I
can we
think he
add
did
English
abandon her.
redneck in
I think he
Texas?
did
We,
abandon
Wait.
her several times.
Wait, one at a time. Hold on, Lisha. Hold that thought real quick. What were you saying, Jay?
Can we add English redneck in Texas? He's in the backstage. He says lawyer here. I can actually explain why Brian's lawyer went the remain silent approach.
Okay, I will do that. Lisha, sorry. Go ahead with what you were going to say.
I've listened to several psychologists analyze the body cam footage, and they were saying she has abandonment issues, and they were like, no, she was abandoned. Like, that's why she's literally fighting for her life to get back into the van and punching him, and she climbed in the window over him because he abandoned her. He hung, the cop said, oh, to get her shit. That's what the cop said, okay? And, like, he took her phone, he took her van, he locked her out, he hung her backpack to the back. He gave her shit, as the cop says, and the boys little giggled to each other. So she was expressing trauma. And abandonment issues are common for every human being. I mean, tell me one person who doesn't have an inkling of an abandonment issue. It's human nature. And so I think she's definitely codependent. I think it's crazy making when you're with somebody like that. He probably love bombed her, and just given, I don't know what her upbringing was, her susceptibility to that, and that she was in the home with them for a year. Can you imagine how the three of them played on her? I mean, talk about crazy making.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what they're doing now in front of the world? What did they do behind closed doors? And even the sister said, I just think it was disagreement. This is not a disagreement. She is dead. He left her out, and they feel like rescue. Okay?
Amen.
He didn't even have the decency to put leaves over her or anything whatsoever. And then just like the parents, unconscionable, under the jail with them. They're worse than he is. They're adults. Their brains are fully formed already.
Yeah.
And they can't even have the decency to reply to her parents. Are you kidding? They knew her parents.
That's all a good point. And I
mean, there's right, and then there's what's right. There's decency.
Of course.
There's being a decent human being, and they're not being a decent human being whatsoever.
Well, can I say something, Amy?
Sure.
And hi, guest. How are you?
It's English redneck in Texas, and he'll get a chance to speak in just a second because I'm so glad everybody wants to talk. So
yeah, this is great.
Lillian, I love you, by the way. Lillian, I love you, by the way.
Oh, I love you too. Listen, if there was more love in this world, it would be a better world. But you know,
Female revolution. Female revolution.
Let me-
It's time for.
let me tell you, her body language at that police stop, she looked like a frightened little girl. And it's a sad thing, because think about this. I don't have children. A lot of you do. You said your child is young. She's 22. She's going to go on a trip with her fiance at the time. I know they broke it off. And what do you say to your child? Oh my God, listen, I want you to drive safely when you're out there camping. Watch out for the animals or the snakes. Be careful, be careful. Don't, stay within the speed limit. I want you to have a good time. But do you ever think in a million years that your daughter's not gonna come back because the guy that she's engaged to at the time and that she's been with, lives with the family, she's murdered and she's left out in the wilderness where
They probably thought he would protect her,
Well,
of course.
It wasn't the snake in the grass. It was a snake in the
You're
driver's
right. It was
seat.
the snake, and you're absolutely good scenario.
Yeah.
And the attorney that they have is a real estate attorney that they've known. The family has known him for over 20 some years. Yes, that's what I heard tonight.
God, I had no clue about that.
Yeah.
See,
That's what
why
I
is
can
the
actually-
state attorney?
Okay.
I can actually tell you why the lawyer's doing what he's doing, if anyone actually cares. And
Yeah,
there's a
I'd
reason
love to know.
immediately after the announcement was
course
made
we
that
care.
Brian was declared a person of interest. And the reason being, a defense lawyer's job is to zealously defend their client to the fullest extent of the law, but there is a fiduciary duty, which means there's a responsibility of a lawyer in the US, which essentially precludes the lawyer making any statement that they know to be false, right? So if the lawyer takes a phone call saying, oh, my girlfriend or my fiance or whatever she was to him at the time is dead and I was involved, that lawyer cannot make a statement legally saying that fact because they know it to be false. They can't say, oh, he didn't do it. It's a general denial. They can't go and speak to the cops and say, oh, he didn't do it. They can't do those things legally. So all the lawyer's options were at the time, he has to defend the client. That's his job. That's his fiduciary duty. That's his responsibilities to the legal system. But what he cannot do is hang the defense on a statement he knows to be false. And so if Brian admitted to that lawyer, hey, look, I was involved, the lawyer can't issue a statement saying he wasn't involved. What he can do is exactly what he did, which is issue a statement saying we aren't going to say anything.
And
it's
it was the
interesting
press
that the
conference.
second
Cancel
that-
the press conference.
Hold on. One at a time. I know. One at a time. So I'll let, please, English
I was
redneck,
just-
please continue.
I was just going to fill in. He is absolutely right. And then it become a conflict of interest by law. Go ahead.
Right.
Yeah, a defense lawyer cannot legally make a statement. Doesn't mean shady defense lawyers don't make statements all the time they know to be false. But in reality, a lawyer that doesn't want to get disbarred will not make a statement formally that they know to be false. They cannot do that. That's why general guidance says if you're dealing with your defense lawyer, you do not admit guilt to your defense lawyer. It's also why most defense lawyers tell their clients, I don't want to know more about this case than the prosecution already know.
Than what they get in discovery. Okay. And yeah, okay.
So
That
let me
makes
ask you
sense.
this.
And that's probably why he canceled the press conference. He didn't want to
I
say anything.
Right, definitely, Leisha. Well, so if what Lillian is said is true, which I'm not saying it's not true, just benefit of the doubt. If it's a real estate attorney, and their focus is all they know is real estate law, and all attorneys go through, they go through all law school, so they would know pretty much. But if all they know is I shouldn't say all they know, but if their practice is real estate law, why would wouldn't it be the best interest of the client to find a defense attorney who specializes in criminal defense rather than real
that's
estate
what
law?
I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, but
Yeah, 'cause this is
it depends on the means. I'm not saying the guy's not a real estate lawyer, but he'll still have gone to law school and he'll still have passed the bar in the state of Florida, right? Which means he's still going to have the same basic grounding in the rules of being a lawyer in Florida as any other lawyer that's passed the Florida bar exam, which is discipline. It's discipline independent. It doesn't matter if you're a real estate lawyer, a criminal lawyer, a company lawyer, a tax lawyer. It doesn't matter. You have to pass the general bar exam, and that bar
Right.
exam will have taught them the principle. You can't make a statement as a lawyer that you know to be false. And because he's a family friend, what I think happened is he's probably cheap. He probably had the relationship with the family. It was an easy lawyer. He probably did it for a low retainer, right? Went full cheap.
right.
Low retainer, it was easy. And Brian, because he knows him, because he's a family friend, said to him, look, I was involved in this somehow. Now, I don't know if he murdered her. I don't know what the circumstances around the homicide were, but it's crystal clear that he was involved. The second his
I
lawyer
think
knows
it's negligent, though. I think it's negligent. I through a divorce, and I have a friend who is a stellar attorney for oil and gas, and she wouldn't give one iota of anything. She said, "That's not my," She said, "You need to speak with somebody who does divorce." Like,
no,
so
it's not the. Is that the right
it's
lawyer for the guy?
negligible
No.
to do that.
Is that
really
the right lawyer
is.
for the guy? No. But if
Which
that's
is
the
very
lawyer,
Because the way the
ironic.
parents are acting, the way they're doing, they're not doing it right. I've never heard of anyone doing this. At least they come out with a statement or something, and
Yeah.
what they've come
yeah,
out
but
with
the lawyer
is just
cannot. The
ridiculous.
lawyer cannot come out with a statement
No,
if
no,
the
no.
client admits
No,
they're
the
guilty.
lawyer.
They can't.
But how many people have had a criminal defense? He needs a criminal defense attorney who knows how to play this game, because they have not played it right. They just shut down and said, "Oh, Fifth Amendment." There's a nuance. You needed to come out with a better statement, and it just to shut everything down like that, and then the last statement is rest in peace. Like, that's just disgusting.
I think
Well, Liliana,
I
I don't like what the lawyer did, right? But what I'm explaining to you is legally why he had to do it. And there's only
No,
one
I
logical
understand
reason.
that.
Even if
You've
you're a
explained
real
it
estate
time. We
attorney,
understand that point.
yeah,
We understand
like,
that
even if
point.
you're a
You're
real
being
estate
zealous.
attorney,
We got it.
you're
But
still
no, we got it.
you're still bound by those same governing principles. So in other words, like,
We
it doesn't
understand
matter if he's a real estate attorney or a fisherman lawyer, like, specializes in fishery matters, right? He's going to know he can't make a statement that he
We
knows is
understand
false.
that.
And so the second Brian says, I was involved, he's screwed. Now, what most good
Yeah.
lawyers would do, to your point, and I do
I'm
agree
not-
with you, is they would leave the case. They'd be like, I can't represent you, go find a criminal lawyer. The mistake his
Exactly.
lawyer
That's what they've
did
done.
was he made a statement rather than just, I'm refusing to defend the case, which is what a sensible lawyer would have done. So I do completely agree with you. This was
So,
not handled well, but it does reveal to me personally, my opinion, the behavior of his lawyer is a tacit admission of guilt, right? And that's why he was a person of interest immediately after the statement came out, because it's a tacit admission of guilt.
But it further hurt the family. It hurt everybody. Everybody's like, "Wow!" Could have been handled way more nuanced.
Absolutely, it could have been handled a lot, way differently than before.
By people who understand criminal law, right?
Okay, wait. We have to stop talking over each other, because it's so hard for people listening, and I think, like, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, Jay, too. I apologize.
Oh, no, you're fine.
I don't like interrupting.
I'll be quiet.
No. It's not that I don't want you to talk.
No, it's okay. No, it's okay. I already said.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right.
I'm good.
Okay. I think the point that I hate calling you English redneck, but the point that you were making was that this is what the lawyer did, and it was when he said to the family or to Brian that he would be a spokesperson or be his representation, that was the only option that he had.
Yes.
So I think it's just like, I don't think that any of us here hopefully ever have to call up a family friend, but I think a lot of us know somebody that's a divorce attorney or, a patent and trademark attorney or intellectual property or whatever. If we get in trouble or we have something, that's the person we call first, because they know the law and they know the basics to help us
Right.
protect ourselves until we figure out what we're going to do and how we're going to
Right.
proceed, or maybe get a
Absolutely.
recommendation for something else. And I think that's probably what happened here. I know there's been a lot of accusations that Bertolini took this case for notoriety. I personally don't subscribe to that, because I don't think anybody knew how big this was going to be.
I think you're right.
So, and I know there's a,
Amy,
Well, no,
are
I mean,
you
Amy,
saying
like,
what
Amy,
Jenny
you hit
Penny
the
wrote?
nail.
Do
Amy,
you
you
see
hit
what
the
Jenny
nail on the
Penny
head.
wrote about him? I'm sorry.
You hit the
Amy,
nail
do
on
you
the
see
head,
what
Amy.
Jenny
Like,
Penny wrote? Okay, wait. Jenny Penny wrote all this information in the chat about Susan Bertolino.
Sorry, you guys. I just
okay,
didn't
yeah, I'm not saying the lawyer's not a
interrupt you guys.
scumbag lawyer. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, we're not assaulting the lawyer's character here, right?
yeah.
The
He's
lawyer,
talking about
the
he
lawyer
has
has, like, you don't
represented it.
specialize. Wait a second. You don't specialize as a lawyer until after you sit the bar exam and pick what type of legal practice you want to get involved in. Then you go in as a junior associate attorney and study that area of law under a partner and specialize, right? So every single lawyer in this country, when they sit the bar exam, has been to a law school, and they sit the bar exam to learn the business of practicing law. And the bar exam is the same. You don't specialize in law school. You don't go to law school and say, I want to be a corporate lawyer. You go to general law school, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so you are going to have a general knowledge of criminal law at the end of law school. Every time you're going to sit a bar exam that requires you to know your legal obligations in criminal legal cases. So what I
Yes.
think happened, and this is now me speculating, and I don't care if the lawyer's a scumbag, etc. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. If Brian approached him, or his family approached him and said, our son did something really stupid here, right? That lawyer then cannot produce a statement publicly that he wasn't smart enough as a criminal defense lawyer to say, I can't take this case. But
Really?
he knew the law well enough to know I can't go out and produce a statement of blanket denial, which is
Right.
typically what you would do. You would typically produce a statement that says he didn't do it. And he's
Right.
not going to talk about it, but he wasn't involved. Something else happened. The
Right.
only reason a lawyer wouldn't add that first sentence, he didn't do it, but he won't talk about it, is if the lawyer could not make the statement he didn't do it. And the only time the lawyer could not make that statement is if he knew the client did it.
Right. If the client had told him he did it. So let's
Exactly.
just, I'm a big fan of analogies. And so just so we're clear, a good analogy might be, I go to my physician and I'm having some issues, and they run some basic panels, and because he's a general practitioner and he suspects that I might have cancer, he's pretty sure of it. And, but he doesn't tell me. He sends me to a specialist
Right.
Can I say
who
something?
then does that, because in law and in medicine you eventually, by all your experiences up until the point where you sit for the bar and then you go in as a junior associate or whatever, that's when you determine what you're interested in, what you're going to pursue as your specialty.
Right.
I think
Amy,
two
can I say
points. I think
something?
it was
Wait.
hubris, and then I think it's also, I just forgot my second one. Oh,
I want to.
the attorney didn't have to say my client didn't do it. He could have come up with a statement that would have been good enough, but he didn't have to say that piece. And this guy didn't do it anyway. Sorry, Lillian.
No, but I don't.
No, that's okay.
But I don't think he could have. I don't. There's a reason why he said my client's not talking.
I
And
want to.
hold on
He
one
should have
second.
put it off
Okay,
to a criminal
But
attorney.
I know
Anyway.
should have. I get it. Should have.
Yeah.
But I don't think
Yeah.
he could. Okay. So
Yeah,
because he
it's not-
has to be.
morally, he
And
could have said it.
he
but-
didn't.
but
So here we are.
legally,
Yeah.
he couldn't. Like, so morally, what he should have done morally is not the same thing as what he should have done legally. And this is what non-lawyers
Exactly.
struggle with when it comes to matters of the law.
Mhm.
Like, it's not about morally doing the right thing. It's about legally not compromising your client's position.
Right.
It's just gross to hide behind the law. It's just gross. It's just gross. It's a
Well,
bad law.
It's horrible. I don't disagree. It's morally reprehensible.
It
Like,
is.
I'm not defending the lawyer, but I'm explaining the behavior.
think
And the
you
point
are.
I'm making is the second I read the statement from the lawyer, I knew Brian killed her. Like, the second I read the lawyer's statement, I immediately...
Second he got a lawyer, we knew he did.
Like, nothing else mattered. I was like, he absolutely did something. And
Yeah.
the
That is
lawyer,
true.
Yeah, that was my point. So the lawyer being a douchebag doesn't matter, but every lawyer in the country read that statement and was like, Brian did this. That's the point I'm making. That's the only point I'm making. So the speculation is funny because the second the lawyer couldn't deny it, you knew the kid did it.
Right.
I want to add
I
something
agree with
onto
you.
that. But here's the thing: the feds came in and shut him down on this first statement from actually coming out and making a statement. We don't know why or how, but the federal law came in and shut him down. But we don't know. But then he came back and revamped. Then he made a second statement for the public. Go ahead.
Okay, so listen, I know Lillian wanted to say something. Oh my gosh. Lisha, if you're trying to steal the show with the puppies, you've done it.
I'm just trying to be nice because I was all grumpy with like, I'm like, here,
I
look,
have
I'm
two
actually nice
vices.
with them.
It's dogs and true crime.
Sorry.
So,
I could barely see it. What I wanted to
I
ask
can
you.
do this. Hold on. Go ahead,
What I
Lillian.
wanted to. Okay, thanks. What I wanted to ask you guys, that this is just my opinion, because we're all. Oh my God! Look at that. We're all. Oh,
This is
I have a
Lala.
puppy too. He's 5.
She's a
Oh my
Maltese.
God.
And then this is her baby. But
Aw.
baby. His name's Baby.
How
He's a
cute is
Yorkie
that?
Maltese. We need a bath so bad. So sorry.
Well, we can't smell them. So,
Sorry.
But listen.
Sorry, guys.
Guys, I want to ask your opinions.
certainly.
I don't think he is
Go
in
ahead.
that reserve. I just don't.
Okay.
I don't think he's there. I want to hear what you think. I don't think he's there. It's like 75% of it is underwater. You got alligators all around. You got the snakes. How the hell, how is he going to hide? I think before anybody even knew that Gabby was missing, when he came home, he's riding a bike around the corner, doing the lawn, and then they put that camper on the truck and they leave. Now, the neighbor, now I'm only getting this from TV or the news like everybody else. They said they didn't think anything of it, except why would the son go with the parents in that little, little thing you pop up on your truck? So I think he got in there. Yeah, I think he got in that camper, and I think they took him somewhere. They never went camping, but they dropped him off somewhere to get away because he had all that time to run. What do you think?
I would agree with you. I think if he's in the preserve, he's dead. If he's in the preserve, he's dead. If he went to the preserve, he went to the preserve to commit suicide.
To die. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. In a place where they'll never find his body.
Exactly.
If he's not in the preserve, he ran. Those are the only two possibilities. I'm leaning towards suicide because he's probably a natural coward, right? And facing a lifetime in prison, suicide seems a lot more attractive than trying to flee the FBI across the country when you're the most wanted man in America and the most known man in America right now. So,
okay.
In a parking lot of the
wait. One at a time. Hold on real quick, because I think Outlaw Trucker was talking. I want to say something, and then I really need to get back to Jenny Penny because she's been sitting there forever, and I feel terrible. And it's 1:56 Eastern Standard Time, and I need to go soon. So, which I don't want to because this is so good, but I'm going to have to wrap it up in the next 15 minutes or so. So real quick, I will say this. I put it up on the screen earlier. Somebody said there was a lot of police presence in Citrus County, and I had shared this with Trisha earlier this evening. So I'm curious. I mean, don't dox yourself or anything. If there's anybody else that lives in Florida, because DeSantis put out that, I don't know what you'd call it, but it was a direction or a mandate, or made an announcement the other day that all law enforcement agencies and any agencies under his jurisdiction were to cooperate in the search for Brian Laundrie.
Almost sounds like an executive order.
Kind of. I don't know what you would call it. But so around, like, I was social media was crazy today. I mean, all I was doing was I was just all over the place trying to keep track of what was going on and collect documents and things of that nature, blah, blah, blah. And I went to the grocery store around 7. I live on a I live on a highway that goes all the way to the East Coast to the beach because I live in Orlando. I live in Central Florida. And there were 22 law enforcement vehicles in the 7 miles it took me to get to the market. And they were state troopers, they were unmarked cars, they were Orange County sheriffs, and then and a border patrol vehicle.
Whoa.
So I just kind of wondered, is it like they're all out tonight, like in case there's a sighting that everybody can just flush out, or was it just a coincidence that I saw that much? Because I mean, some of you know me very well. I got on the active calls site and there was nothing, but I wondered if anybody else had seen that. And a lot of you are saying you don't even think he's still in Florida. I mean, I think we've all kind of agreed he's either dead in the swamp or he's split. And unfortunately, I'm not sure they're ever going to find him if that's happened because we really don't know when he left.
I'd like to go and add on what Lillian said with her, what was it, the comment about the swamp and if he's still in that reservoir. I personally, with the news conference with the interview with the neighbors who said that they took that cab over camper and traveled. My theory is if they were to drop him off, let's say they dropped him off somewhere, and wouldn't you think that they would drop the cab over camper too and let him say, hey, hon, here's cab over camper. We're going to drop it off right here. It's got, fridge, lighting, electricity. We're going to tell the FBI that you're in the reservoir.
They have boats. They have access to boats.
Well, how would he have access to both if the cab over camper is still in their front yard?
Well, you've also got to think like a cop.
BOAT at boat. Water.
Boat.
So
you've got to think like a cop.
About either his brother or uncle was a cop, and he also has a yachting company. So he has access to that as well. And I think the mother or the father's in real estate or houses, and in the last year they've earned $200,000. I think maybe she said 6 to 8 months. They've earned $200,000 profit. So they're cash. So they have access to cash. So I think they could have supplied him off.
There's a lot of wait. There are a lot of rumors that have gone around. As much as you can check on people, I haven't. Not that I'm the end all be all, but I haven't been able to confirm that. I've heard that too. Secondly, if you're talking about, if you're talking about a boat for the ocean, I mean, I don't.
I guess
let's just take a step back into like the realism. Like, so if he made an ocean-bound escape, which is a nice fantasy,
right?
The guy's gonna have to be able to sail. He's gonna have to know naval rules, right? He's gonna have to have a crew. He's gonna have to have provisions. He's gonna have to have a destination. He's gonna have to safely navigate to that destination. I mean, yeah, in theory, he took a boat to Mexico. The guy could barely drive a camper van. I just don't credit him with the capability of fleeing by sea. He's not Johnny Depp in Pirates of the Caribbean.
No.
I mean, he'd probably sink within 10 minutes of being on the water. So,
he can't get along with anybody.
Let's just be honest. Everybody. He's not going to get on a boat because they're made out of fiberglass, and that doesn't fit into his carbon footprint. So, it is what it is, and cardboard doesn't float for very long, folks. So,
my God,
even when it's recycled.
Right.
All
right. Okay.
All right. Is he going to be caught, guys?
I don't know. I honestly don't. I want to hope so, but I honestly don't think so. I honestly think he's just gone off and offed himself, and he's never going to be caught.
Exactly. I agree. I think they'll find his body. I don't think they'll ever catch him alive, unfortunately, which means we'll never know what happened. But I think they'll find his body.
Why are they draining the swamp though? Like, why are they just pushing everything into it? Because they feel like they have to make up for losing him? Is that it, or what? I don't get it. Because I feel like they must have had a super lead to like go that hard. But maybe, I mean, are they just trying to stay safe? Like, what's the deal?
Well, I think what we can, at least this is what goes through my head. The urgency of finding Brian before, when he was a person of interest, which is just anybody that could provide information on a case, right? So it doesn't mean suspect. They're not interchangeable. Now he is, a wanted person because he has the arrest affidavit or the arrest warrant. But there had to be something to create that massive urgency in order to justify the number of officers they had out there, which was the first day was 50, which is quite a bit. So that would lead you to believe,
and endangering them to be in like alligator waters and
right.
Oh my God, it's awful.
But wait. So the only reason why that would happen is if somebody were to communicate to law enforcement, he is a danger to himself or others right now, which would be he expressed thoughts of self-harm. So
right. But I feel like they wanted him because they want to know where Gabby was. Once we found Gabby, it's like, okay, go off yourself, dude. Like,
well, here's the good news. All right. And it's not what I want, but if we never find Brian, at least we found Gabby 2 days ago. I was very concerned that we might never find Gabby if we never found Brian. Okay.
Yep, that's
to me, I mean, if we have to, we lost a little less. We're still losing, but we lost a little less than what we could have. Because Vegas odds wouldn't have played very well on finding Gabby if we, if Brian.
And I love that it
making any sense. You know what I mean?
I love it. I love that because YouTubers get such a bad rap.
If we still have time, can we talk about how the police totally said at the press conference, we know with absolute certainty where Brian is? And then, a day or two
Remember
later,
that?
They said he's missing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember that?
So I'm going to have an unpopular opinion about this. And, the police had their only option. They had some limitations. Their only option at that point was to believe what the family was telling them.
Right.
True.
Could they have been observing, I don't know. There's a fine line. I know a little bit about some of this. I'm not an attorney, but I don't think they could have had 50 cop cars in front of the house as a person of interest.
I think you're right. I think you're right, Amy.
And so, the public information officer said himself, he was like, like he didn't say, well, we don't know if Brian Laundrie's, if Chris and Roberta are telling the truth or not. We don't know. He didn't say that. He alluded to it. He's like, what else do we have? What else do we have but to believe or to listen to what they tell us, So,
and we have Leticia Stock. I mean, she went from Colorado to Florida, and we're still years out,
Right.
Yeah,
right.
but look at this. Let's take a huge step back and look at how the police do their job, right? They're not going to go onto a public TV station and say, yeah, we're surveilling the house.
Right.
They may have had a sealed probable cause warrant to surveil the house. We're never going to know that because they're never going to announce it publicly. Because if they did, the family would know that. And if they're risking the lives I think to Lillian's point, if they're risking the lives of their officers crawling around with alligators, there's got to be way more to it than just, he told his family he was going hiking. Like, the last person the investigator is going to listen to is his family at this point. right?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
They're going to be acting on
You're right.
different information. Like, you're not going to be like, yeah, I'm going to risk 50 people's lives on the word of these people who have lied to us literally from the first second of this investigation, or concealed information. No, if they're
Right.
searching that particular area, and I've been there, and it's a hell pit.
It
Just
is.
for the record, right?
It is.
It
I was
like
just
a-
there. I
they
was
know
just there 2
something
days
different,
ago.
right? They're not going to
Are
risk
cameras
their
in a
lives.
parking lot? Are there
Can I say
cameras?
something, Amy?
Like, can you wait if they're like if they actually have video of him driving there or leaving? Like, do we have evidence?
No,
Because
I
I don't
mean, not
believe his
that.
parents.
Well, not
Parents
yeah,
said
but
just
you
put the
can't
car
rule out
there.
what the police have. I mean, I'm pretty sure when the police raided his house, they knew he booked it. I'm pretty sure they were
Right, but I'm
surveilling
just
the
wondering
house
if anybody knows
before.
if there are cameras, if anybody's heard
They'll
or
have been
anything.
checking his internet history
No.
for sure, because they can do that without a warrant. So you know that every
yeah.
internet search that he made.
Mm-hmm.
And also, they know he's a Muppet, right? So they know this isn't James Bond here. They're not
Right.
chasing like an expert escape and
Yeah.
evade person. This guy literally couldn't escape and evade from a domestic disturbance at a restaurant to 10 miles down the road, and he wasn't exactly compelling in front of the police. So they're not exactly going to be sitting there thinking, "Oh my God, it's Jason Bourne." You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, they're
I
thinking,
love
"This
when a
guy's
cop
an
goes,
idiot." Like,
Yeah.
they're
It
gonna
goes
be-
when he
Yeah.
hit the curb and he goes, "Oh, that's because she grabbed the
Exactly.
wheel." And he goes, "Well, you're going
Exactly.
45 and a 15." And he goes, "What, did she grab the pedal too?"
Yeah,
Cop
exactly.
said that to
Yeah.
him. Oh, she
Yeah.
grabbed the pedal too, because he's like, "Well,
Yeah.
your
Yeah,
lights
this is
startled
not.
me." So
This,
you were speeding before the lights went off, dude.
yeah, this
You
isn't a
know.
highly trained government asset with that they're chasing here. They know the guy's a moron. So, like as I said, my view
Yeah.
is he went there to kill himself. Whether he had the courage to do it or not, I don't know. But the fact he hasn't turned up doing something stupid, like in a
I think
restaurant
just kind
shouting
of
at someone,
posturing.
I think he's dead. That's my personal opinion. I don't like it because I would like to see him see justice, and I would have liked to have
Right.
seen him have to account for himself in front of a jury. My personal view is an alligator's eaten his body by now. And I
Can I
hate
say
it.
something?
Poor alligator.
Yeah. Oh, right, Amy. Right.
Go ahead.
Can
Go
I-
ahead.
Thank you. No, I was going to try to cover. A lot of you guys have a lot of good points, but also if you step back and look at this situation above the area outside that box, when this exploded, the family down there, Brian's family, felt threatened. So now it raised the yellow. Now it's putting the law in endangerment too. You got to look at that aspects, how a lot of people are reacting to it, and there's a lot of threat levels are risking real high to a red, and it's putting almost everybody in danger now.
What do
It-
you mean yellow red? What? I'm confused.
Right
Yeah,
now
me
they're
too.
in yellow, okay, just like military. Right now it's under yellow, where it's at risk that putting a lot of people in endangerment of gunfire and everything of how things are reacting.
Well, isn't that every day for law enforcement?
Not every day, but this one here, I am seeing that this is going to escalate if people don't back down. I can see it's going to escalate into a lot of bloodshed if they're not careful.
But he's not really armed, I mean, that we know of, like other than that little tiny pistol.
Well, I don't know if you have to worry so much about Brian being the aggressor, because I'm sorry, but you won the internet tonight by calling him a Muppet. But we have to consider. I'm just, I live in Florida, and people have a lot of guns, and they're all about stand your ground and shoot first and ask questions later, and
Oh, wow.
pioneer justice and all kinds of stuff. I swear. I mean, I live in a nice area, and I go to the dry cleaner, and I hear some lady say, and he wasn't in an Amazon truck, and I had my gun in my pocket.
Oh,
I
geez.
did. They're not all like that, but there's a lot of them here, and the gun laws are a little different.
Yeah.
And I think that, shooting Brian Laundrie, for some people, I'm not encouraging it. I don't want anybody to do it. You did not hear me say that. I'm just simply giving a scenario. but for that would be a huge trophy for some people.
Yeah, well,
Or
you're
someone who
right,
look like
Amy.
him. There's a lot of guys who look like him, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, I think my wider
Yeah.
point is like this isn't, as I said, the police haven't. We don't know what the police know. But an investigator is going. As I said, if I'm risking my men's life in a swamp in Florida, surrounded by alligators, it's because I have something more credible than the family telling me he went camping out there. And then, so for me
But
to
I also
believe
think
that he's
men
somewhere
are kind
else,
of
but wait
beating
a
their
second, sorry.
chest.
Wait a second, sorry. But for me to believe that he's somewhere else, I have to credit him with a level of training, experience, and behavior that I haven't seen him deliver. Like, if you're that well trained, you don't start a fight in a restaurant the night you murder your girlfriend. You don't, right? You're a perfect
Right.
gentleman in that
Right.
restaurant, right? Like,
Mhm.
and then you disappear into the mist. You don't drive back to your own house in the camper van you stole from the person you just killed. You know, like, this guy's not slick enough to still be at large. He's not.
Right.
He's missing
He's just not
something,
that
yeah.
good. I think he's dead in the swamp. I'm sorry.
He
It's
has
not
to be.
satisfying, but he's not evidenced any like skill that would be required to not be dead somewhere.
Since
Like,
we have an attorney in here, let's ask this, because you just mentioned he stole the camper van and drove it back to Florida. They did an arrest warrant today about he got unauthorized cards, some about he took money in excess of $1,000, probably Gabby's money. Anyway, why couldn't
That's
they
what they
not get an
said.
arrest warrant for stolen vehicle because of Gabby's vehicle? Is it because Gabby's asked to report it stolen? Could there be a power of attorney? How would that work legally?
They could-
With your
that's an interesting question, and not being. I don't want to represent that I'm an expert on Florida law because I'm not. So, but what I would say is the reason they filed the fraudulent transaction use is the coroner placed the time of death before the credit card transactions hit. So at that point, de facto, you are robbing someone's estate without their permission, right? So that you're committing theft. At that point, instantly you're committing fraud because
Right.
they'll have looked at the body, they'll know it's been decomposing for X days. Time of death is prior to the use of the credit card. We want to get a general arrest warrant out for this guy. Fraud's technically a federal crime, so I can deploy the entire country to look for them because it's a financial crime. So I can deploy every resource we have to try and find this guy. And if anyone stops him, he's wanted federally. That's why they probably went with it. The vehicle, once again, not Florida lawyer, not you know. So I don't know what the laws are in Florida, but in general, just speaking in general, you could argue. A good defense lawyer would argue that the worst they could do to him on the vehicle was misappropriation. So he could claim, she gave me the vehicle and said, hey, drive home. I'm going to go for a walk in the woods. And the worst you can do with that is misappropriation, which is a misdemeanor, right? In general. I'm not saying in this case, I'm saying in general. I'm not giving legal advice. I'm just saying in general, the worst you could do with that is misappropriation. Using a dead person's credit card is de facto fraud. It's a felony and it's a federal crime. So they've got
It's over
way more to go after
$1,000.
in there,
Yeah.
right?
So Jenny Penny, I know. I realized we never went to her.
Well, I know, and she's
Did she hang
muted,
up?
and I'm sorry, she has herself muted. I don't have her muted, so I'm not really sure what's going on over there. And I do want to get back to that at some point, but it's about 2:16 in the morning, and I think I am going to wrap it up for the night. And I want to say, like, thank you to everybody that's here, for everybody
was
that's on the
great.
panel. This was a fun discussion, and
It was. It really was.
you're my
Absolutely.
sushi crew, and thank you so much. So I'm going to be doing a live this weekend. Probably I have to look at what, because I collaborate with Trisha at Web Sleuth, so I kind of want to look at what her plans are for the weekend so we don't conflict with each other. But I will definitely do things a little different next time and schedule this like a normal person would, and I promise I won't go live and talk to myself for 40 minutes and sit here having a panic attack, not knowing how to
Okay.
end it because, but so
If we wanna
anybody
get
have
back
any, I
on-
feel like I'm sorry, Jay, what were you saying?
I said, if we want to get back on, do we just email you?
Yes, so my email is Amy, AIMEE at truecrimesushi.com. You can always find me on Twitter at crimesushi. I do have a Facebook page. It's not very active. I don't believe in Facebook groups, so I don't have any of those. I'd rather talk about things here where you have to own what you say rather than
Yeah.
hiding behind a keyboard. I'm not doing that. I used to do that with my other endeavors here in my past life, and I will never do it again. So sorry about that. But that's it. Anybody, I feel like this is Jerry Springer. I can't think of another way to say it. Anybody have any final thoughts real quick? I'll give you like 5 minutes and then we'll say good night.
This was great.
Oh, well, I'm glad. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And I
Wow.
loved seeing the dogs. And thank you so much, English Redneck. I saw you just dropped off. Jenny Penny dropped off. Lillian, anything you'd like
I
to
just
say?
want to say, this is the first I could find you. I go to True Crime Sushi. I was on Trish's page, and then I had to wait and click in, and then you came on because Amy, I'm 71. I'm lucky I'm on this
Oh,
because I'm not too hip on this, but I have my own tablet, and that's how I find things, and Trish and a lot of others. But that when you said you were coming on right after her show, that's how I was able to click on and find you.
wow. Thank you so
So-
much.
You're a
But-
rock star, Lillian.
Oh
I
God,
love you.
thank you guys. Make me
Yeah.
feel so good. Listen, this was fun, and we debated without fighting, and that's the nice thing about it.
Amen. Yeah.
I love that. I love discussing stuff and I love hearing different perspectives. And as long as we're not using like nasty language or getting personal with each other,
Right.
I think healthy debate is important. So
Yeah.
thank you.
And Amy, how do I mute myself? Just click out on the StreamYard?
So,
It says leave at the bottom
do
right.
you want to leave? I can remove you.
Yeah,
Oh, you're
I'm going to
muting.
say
I thought
good night to you.
Okay.
I'll still
Bye, Lillian. Great
be up, but
talking with you.
yeah,
Okay,
same here.
Yeah.
Same here.
All right. I'll say good night and I'll wiggle my nose like Samantha Stevens and poof, you're
Poof, I'll be
gone.
gone.
I felt kind of bad doing
Bye.
that because I love Lillian. All right, Jay. Last words, and then we're out of here.
Well, I had a great time talking to you. I will email you, and we will. We might meet up tomorrow. I would not tomorrow, whenever you're back up. But I would love to discuss with you the Daniel Robinson case. I have like 10 pages of notes on that, so I'd love to speak to you about that. It would be
I will
an interesting
write that
discussion.
down. I'll write
Yeah.
that down. All right. Or if you want to email me, just like, you don't have to email me all your notes because I know we can get like super, and like, this is my work. And it becomes
Yeah.
personal in your baby. But if you can send me like a good place to start, like a link or something, that would be amazing.
Yes, and then we can even talk, and I can even send you. We can even meet like on Zoom or Teams or whatever. And
Okay, cool.
do that too. But anyway, yeah, very interesting case. It's similar. I wouldn't say similar to the Gabby Petito case where the boyfriend just dropped her off by, but like it has dating but the girl wasn't interested, and now the guy's just vanished.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about that. All right.
Okay, will do. I will email you. Anyway,
Okay.
bye.
All
Great
right.
talking to
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you so much, Jay. All
I
right,
love you.
Lisha. I say
We
good
love
night to you and your
you.
puppies. Thank you. I love you
Bye.
too. I'll talk to you later.
Sweet dreams.
You too. Okay, so just real quick, a little housekeeping here. Thank you, Trisha, for modding. Ping, thank you for saying you would too and for being here and supporting me. You two are amazing to me. to everybody that's here that's new and hasn't met me before or doesn't know me, I appreciate you listening. I hope to do more of this and get on a regular schedule. I am going to do something this weekend. I just got to figure it out. And I see Shiva's girl, and I see Insightful One and Tambra and Judy and all my friends, Rain Dancer. So I will schedule this properly. I'll put it up on all my social media so you know, and we'll do it right next time. But right now, I'm just going to say, see you later, alligators, and I'll talk to you soon. Good night.